control her mouth. She don't have to say everything that comes up. It's okay if he get the last word sometime.
So my thing is, if you take religion away from black Americans, what are you gonna replace it with?
Right.
Peace, family. We are back again, and today we'll be building on the traditional man and the traditional woman, right? And we're not gonna waste a lot of time. We're gonna get right into it, right? Because so many sisters today say, "I want a traditional man," right? A real man wouldn't do that. A real man wouldn't do this. And the brother said, "A real woman wouldn't do this. A real woman wouldn't do that." And what we are hearing when we hear that is expectations not being met, right? Expectations not being met. And some of that is fairy tale, some of that is romance, right? Some of that is romanticism, right? A word of romanticism. When we look back, we deal with love and Romans, we deal with the romance and the fairy tale, right? The fairy tale, that's romance. So, when we look at some of those pictures of grandma and grandpa and they together for 50 years, 60 years, and it's beautiful, right? And only if you knew what they went through. It wasn't always perfect, but the difference was that the relationships got through it at that time. And I want you to know this before we get into this breakdown. I'm not an advocate for I want people to enter any type of relationships that makes you happy, right? So, although we will be building on traditional relationships and dealing with the religious element, if that's not for you, I want you to find the relationship that makes you happy, right? Whatever's making you happy, you go with that. But we're right now we're building on the subject of so many sisters and so many brothers being unhappy with today's dating world, right? Man, these black men, these niggas ain't shit, girl. The nigga this and the nigga that. Niggas used to be real. Remember when niggas used to be romantic? And niggas say, man, the girls now, you can't, all they want is money and this and that. And they don't even want to cook for a nigga. They don't even want to clean for. You see what I'm saying? What we hear when we hearing that, you got all these shows that deal with the same topic and been dealing with the same topic for the last 15 years, right? Now, I'll say this. The real issue is that it's expectations not being met, right? And this is what happens, and I said this in my breakdown with Wise the Dome briefly. If you take religion away from black Americans, what will you replace it with? What will you replace it with, right? Now, I know some of you that are not really into religion, I want you to listen to this breakdown objectively, right? I want you to listen to this breakdown objectively, right? Because what religion does, we're not going to deal with the cons of religion. We're going to deal with the religion in a more of a optimistic view, right? And when we look at it from an optimistic view, we say that religion is to civilize the lower nature in men and women. But it also, when it comes to relationship, gives us duties and roles, right? We get roles to play, right? Could you imagine just, we love film on this channel, right? Could you imagine just being in a film and, you don't have a script, right? You don't have no script through the whole film. Or how about being in the theater, in the Broadway play with no script, right? The audience will look at this like, what's going on, man? It looks chaotic. It's out of place. It's out of order. And it is, because the reality is that when you are in religion, you are dealing with a divine order, right? A divine order, a role. God has given you a role to play, right? Get a wife, and a wife has duties, right? It ain't all about the big ceremony and the wedding and all that, right? I know that people are caught up in that. They like and this is why our marriages don't last. Many marriages don't last after the big wedding is over. All hell break loose when it's just you alone again, right? And that's because we don't know how to date. We don't know how to mate. We don't know how to. A man don't know how to deal with a woman from the neck up, right? And a woman and sisters are now forgetting how to deal with men, on a higher level, right? Because we're living in a hyper capitalism society, and our music is hyper capitalism. It's it ain't tricking if you got it. You can have whatever you like. I know I'm saying some old shit, but you get my point. Nothing's changed, right? Your man ain't nothing if he don't buy you that Birkin, right? So matching Benzes. You ride hard, I ride drop, and to make it better. Baby got Nina Beretta, third low, and I'm too call back with the 4-4. Who freak you out on your mama couch? That's what a thug be about. My bad, hey, don't let nobody tell you different. Ja Rule had them hits. But anyway, you feel me? So when we are in a society that has brainwashed us to believe that um, a relationship is fully about finances. Now, finances do play a role in relationships, but you cannot make your relationship the pimp hoe dynamic, right? You give me the money, I'm gonna give you this ass. You give me the ass, I'm gonna give you this money. See, that's not love. The pimp and the hoe don't love each other, but they do need each other, right? But it's no love there. Right? It's no love there, because if he loved her, he wouldn't have her out there in the room with strangers. You feel me? And if she loved him, she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. But if she loved herself, she couldn't do it either. And if he loved himself, he couldn't do it either. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. We dealing with high vibrations today. Right? Right? So I want y'all to hear me out when I say this, because today we dealing with the relationship dynamic of trying to find a mate that can get on your level. Again, finances do play a role, right? You can't deal with no man that don't want to work and don't want to produce, right? But guess what? The Bible or the Quran, our religion got that covered, because it tells the man to be a producer, right? The man is to be a producer, and he wants to be. Real men, want to produce. And if they meet a woman that's worthy of it, they don't mind producing for her. Right? Now, producing for her has nothing to do with buying her the Birkin, the Benzes, the Lexuses, the mansions. Right? You produce what it needs. See, because the Bible also says that a good wife is an understanding wife. Right? So she understands her man's finances. She understands his situation. She understands that her man wants to provide that for her, but right now he can't. But that's fine. I'm here to be your helper. I'm here to help you. Right? If you got a business going, she out there promoting on the online. Right? She promoting you online. You doing real estate. She printing out real estate cards to pass out at her job. Right? She's your help. She's your helpmeet. And you are her helper also. Right? She makes you better. Remember Neo had the song, I'm a movement by myself, but when we together, this shit get better. And that's how love is. Love is an action word. Right? Again, people say that they love themselves, but they do the opposite of loving themselves. Right? They don't take care of their body. Right? They don't try to read at all and keep the mind sharp. Right? They just deal with poison all day. Right? The music. You don't love yourself, nigga. What you watching? What you watching, bruh? It's okay to deal with the bullshit every now and then, but if you love yourself, we'll see it, because, again, love is an action word. Right? Love is an action word. Now, again, a lot of brothers and sisters are caught up in this traditional man, traditional woman thing. And I want you to understand what that means, because traditional in the Black American community is religious, right? And the Bible tells us, and the Quran tells us to not deviate. And it tells us to not conform to this world. It said, do not conform to this world, right? So if the world is doing this, we don't do this, we do that. But we gotten off the path. Now I sound like a preacher, right? You know I had that in my bag though, right? Now I sound like a preacher, right? The carnal mind and the spiritual mind. What is the carnal mind? The carnal mind deals with the lower nature, right? The Benzes, the cars, the money, the this, the that, the that, the that. All that shit that move a nigga, right? Money, hoes, clothes, all the nigga knows, right? Money, hoes, money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes. This is all lower nature shit. Money, power, respect. You need a life. Money, power, respect. You'll be eating right. It's what we hear in our music, and we brainwashed by it. The money, right? So we believe that money is love, but money, as I told you before, money can't be your God, because if money becomes your God, you will do devilish things to get it. You understand? So you gotta stay on the righteous path. You gotta deal with things through a righteous mind, a spiritual mind, and see, the God and the devil can't rule, can't occupy the same space. You feel me? So if you carnal minded, you can't be spiritual minded, and if you spiritual minded, you can't be carnal minded, right? But you can't judge a man for what he don't know. But once you get this knowledge, it's no excuses no more, nigga. Now you fucking know, right? So now you know. That's like I've been in this conscious shit for 12, 13 years now, right? And one thing I've learned is what I learned about the great Baba Dick Gregory, who I was going to meet before he transitioned untimely. RIP to the elder, you know what I'm saying? Is that if you pay attention to Dick Gregory, study Dick Gregory, I read all Dick Gregory's books. And if you listen to the elder speak, when he was younger, he was calmer. He was calmer with his tone and as he got older, he got less patient with niggas. Right? Because it's like, come on, man, when y'all niggas gonna get this shit? But the reality, and he was frustrated, but the reality is that everybody ain't gonna get it. And that's cool. Everybody ain't gonna get it. And that's cool. But for those who do get it, don't play like you don't got it. Right? That's the issue with some people. They know better, but they choose not to do better. See, you can't play dumb. Once you know, and you know, man, even me, when I was younger, you know, life was the shit. Life was the shit because I didn't know. I didn't have knowledge. I was like a zombie. That's why they said black zombies. That's why now I say black. That's why Elijah say the Walking Dead. Because you don't know. And then when the light come on and you get that knowledge, now all of a sudden you know. That's when the anxiety kick in. That's when this kick in. That's when you writing your rap and you say, oh shit, I can't say that. Somebody might do that. Oh shit, I might fuck up a kid's head when I write that. I can't say that. I can't put that movie out. If I do, I gotta make sure kids never see that. Cause I don't want that. I don't want that on me. Cause I know better. See what I'm saying? That's the spiritual mind. That's the spiritual mind. The carnal mind say, yeah, I know better, but what about that bread though, nigga? I'm trying to get that bread. See what I'm saying? So the spiritual mind and the carnal mind when we talk traditional, right? Because when we talk traditional, we're talking about traditional values. We are talking about traditional values, right? And if we're talking traditional values, we got to get into religion Because what religion does is religion gives us duties and it gives us roles assigned by God, the higher power. You know what I'm saying? For those that believe it, for those who don't, the non-believers, it's fine. But just listen to this objectively, right? And you may take something away from it, right? Now I understand that this is a touchy subject, but many sisters are saying that they want a traditional man. But the real issue is, are you a traditional woman, and are you willing to be a traditional woman? Are you a traditional man, and are you willing to be a traditional man, and all the things that come with that? Are you willing to take on those roles? Right? And it don't always have nothing to do with just, and providing again is not buying your old lady a G-Wagon if you can't afford it. Right? That's carnal mind. We're dealing with religion. We're dealing with the spiritual mind. Right? Now, the traditional black man was a religious black man. He was conservative. He believed that it was his duty to be the protector and provider and the producer for his family. He was respected by his family. He got the big plate, the big piece of chicken. Ain't no question, nigga. Daddy get off work, that's his plate. Don't touch it. Right? Daddy get the respect. Daddy get the respect because, you know, he that's the divine order. Right? I remember a video where a nigga came home from work and the sister gave the son the big plate, and she couldn't understand why the hardworking husband was so upset. You know, she didn't understand the divine order. Right now, that's everything speaks volumes. It ain't just ego. That's, you know, this is the divine order. That's my plate. You know what I'm saying? I'm the man of this house. If if a killer trying to bust in right now, you gonna look for me to protect you. If that trash full, I'm grabbing that trash out. Right now, in return for all that, I get the big piece of chicken. Right, and little man fall in line. I groom little man, and little man as I pass on, little man continue the tradition. That's how it was supposed to be. Right. So he was the provider for and the protector for his family. He was respected by his family, right? When he got home from work, when he spoke up, everybody in the family paid attention, right? This did not mean that he had to pay all the bills. That's what a lot of people forget, right? And this did not mean that he had to make $500K a year. A lot of sisters say that. Well, he got to make this. Well, let me tell you something. Your grandpa didn't make that. Cut it the fuck out. Cut it the fuck out, man. Now, all he had to do was try his best to provide a good life for his family, right? That's what he tried. As long as he tried, right? And now, I'm not saying you supposed to settle for, the bottom of the bottom, but if you gonna work with this man, be his helpmeet, right? Help him be better. And if his ego ain't to the side, he should allow you to help him be better, and he should help you be better. Right? That's the help me role, right? If he needed a little financial help, this traditional black wife was made to be his helpmate. She would console him and take on a job if necessary. She would not call him no broke ass nigga or lose respect for him as a man, right? The domestic violence in our community runs rampant. Right, in marriages, in relationships, and most of it is due to financial issues and people being upset that they can't live like the Joneses, right? And in return to that, sister get to calling him a broke ass nigga and all this, and he gets the name calling her back, and then it's all hell breaking loose, right? But remember what we said: love is an action word. So if it's love, let it be love, right? The traditional black wife was a religious woman. Her role was to be the nurturer for the family and the helpmeet. She was a mother and a teacher. She was a teacher at home. She taught the kids, right? Before they went to school, she was teaching them babies, right? They went to school already knowing something. And when they got home, she worked with the kids, right? So this was the role, the nurturer. Right? As when COVID happened, I seen a lot of sisters take on this role. Many sisters took on this role if they could, being a stay at home, helping their kids get learn education, right? And homeschooling became one of the fastest growing homeschooling communities, right? The black community led by the black woman. So this is a role, right? A teacher, a mother is a teacher, the child's first teacher. She was feminine and kind-hearted, especially to her husband, right? When he was feeling beat up by the racist society and by the society that kick a nigga in the ass when he go to work, right? Remember in Good Times? Remember in Good Times, right? James always was getting his ass kicked out there. When he got home, it was like a refresher. Like, when the nigga got home, get home to wifey, right? He come home to wifey, and that's the consoler. She consoles him. You know, she makes him. She gets him. She prepares him like a console. You know, like a game console. She repairs him and gets him out ready to do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Right? This was the man's role. Good Times was a beautiful show. RP, you know what I'm saying, to Theo Cosby, you know what I'm saying? Malcolm Joyner Lewis, I believe. I'm jacking the guy name. Well, hold on. Malcolm Jamal Warner, my bad, yeah, that's a little bit before my time. No disrespect. I just know him as Theo Cosby. And the Cosby Show was a little bit before my time, but this was a great show because this show did highlight that, um, although Cosby and Claire, you know, that was the wife, right? They were both successful. You still seen that was Bill Cosby was the king of that castle, right? She didn't let her success in her field of study or her field of education and what I'm saying, of being a doctor. I believe he was a doctor. She was a lawyer, I believe. Um, don't quiz me on the Cosby Show. I'm not the Cosby Show was a little bit before my time again. But I say that to say, right? She still, she played her role and he played his role. Watch the show. If you just watch a couple episodes, you can see that dynamic. And I know that was important for Bill to put that in, right? So she was feminine, kind-hearted, especially to her husband. When he was feeling beat up by the society that did not treat him fairly, after a long day of work, she was able to console him, right? Greeting him at the door. Man, when you have a daughter, right? One thing you'll learn for the men that have daughters is that, whether you believe in God or not, some things are natural, right? And it's natural for a woman, a baby to, a baby girl to naturally want to nurture her father, even though she can't, right? She just wants to nurture him. She greets him at the door, right? She when dad's sick, she hugging that she want to sit on dad, right? She want to rub dad's stomach. You okay, dad? You know, this is natural. I had a beautiful daughter. This was the blessing of having a daughter. I got to see that. I didn't teach her that. It was natural, right? And just like the boy naturally wants to protect his mother. Some of these things are natural, right? Just as natural as going to the bathroom, right? These are natural things that's already installed inside the human body, right? Inside the human psyche, even as a baby. You don't have to teach that. Love is love, right? The child love his mom. The child love the dad. It's natural. And it's the actions. That's why you love children. Why do we love children? Because children do not care about if you have $1 in your pocket. That's daddy. If you got $1 in your pocket, that's mama. That's love. That's love. It just is. It's not based on what the fuck kind of car you drive, what the fuck kind of house you put us in. Love is just love. You just love mama. You just love daddy. You love each other, right? And love is an action word, right? Now, that's not to say that sometimes you won't go through things. Love has its test. Love does have its test. And no real relationship is even real until it's tested, right? You thought that was your dog. You thought that was your dog. Catch a case with him, and then you will see if it's real or not. You know what I'm saying? You think that's your girl, go out of town. Go out of town for 2 weeks, right? Answer the phone. Hey, where you at? All you hear is the music the music in the club. She in the club, the music. All you hear is the music in the back. You know what I'm saying? That paranoia kick in, that jealousy kick in. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the test. It's a test. Love ain't real until it's tested, right? And that's why everybody love the lust stage. Yeah, the lust stage is new and it's beautiful also too, but it hasn't yet been tested yet. So as your love continues, it goes to another level, and most people don't like the next level, right? Because you start to see a different side of that person, but you really just getting to know that person as they get to drop their mask a little bit, right? But love is a beautiful thing, but love has to be tested. Love has to be tested for you to know that it's real. Now back to the lesson. When sisters say they want a traditional black man, I wonder, do they know that traditional means a divine order, right? It's a divine order of servitude. Now, when I say servitude, don't think of slavery. I know it's hard, right? But it's a divine order. I know people feel like the religion, again, is a patriarchal based lifestyle, right? But again, we're dealing with this objectively for those that are not believers, right? So with this divine order that you didn't create and that he didn't create, right? It's giving you a role. And the woman's role is in the household is Christ, husband, wife, children. Say it with me. Christ, husband, wife, children. Christ, husband, wife, children. That's the divine order. Now, the traditional black woman was more submissive to her black man because she was taught that's how it was supposed to be. And she honored that. So the traditional black man would expect that, right? Are you sure? So I ask modern women now, are you sure that you want to be a modern black woman? Because a modern black woman is submissive to her man. It don't matter what kind of car he drive. It don't matter where he working at right now, right? It's because that's the divine order. God, man, woman, child. That's the divine order. That's the divine order. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. And the religious woman, she understands that, right? So, and that's not to say she don't have struggles, right? To try to honor that. However, she understands that when she's a good wife for her husband, then she's also being a good woman for God, right? And she's helping this relationship grow and this family stay together, because for families, more families produce kids that do well as adults when they stay together, and the household has to be happy. And this means us everybody having a role to play. Again, like I used earlier, if we were all in a theater with no scripts, it'll be chaos. And that's how a lot of us are living in these relationships, right? That don't have God in them. They don't have God in them. They don't have a divine order in them. It's chaos. You take the trash out. You take the trash out, nigga. It's your turn. No, it's your turn. And then, you wash the laundry, nigga. You wash your own shit. You see what I'm saying? It's chaos. It's not a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing supposed to run in order, right? In the mob, you had order. This is organized crime. Organized crime, right? You got an underboss, you got a boss, you got a capo, you got an order to this shit. It's supposed to run beautiful, right? Christ, husband, woman, children. That was the divine order. Now, the traditional black man might ask you to dress modest in public and not wear anything too tight and too revealing, out of respect for yourself and him, as you are a representation of him in this relationship, since you carry his last name. Are you plan on carrying his last name? Because a lot of sisters say, "Well, I ain't married yet, so well, how you gonna? Well, why would I marry you if you ain't doing it? You got to do it so then you can get to the so I can want to marry a nigga. Who gonna want to marry a nigga? Well, I don't respect niggas. I dating you, but I ain't gonna respect a nigga till he marry me. Okay, then how the hell we gonna get to the point of I'm gonna marry you if you don't respect a nigga till he do? I can't do that. You might not respect him. That'd be stupid. So we gotta. Sometimes so much ego. I heard a sister say, and I'm off the point a little bit, but I heard a sister say, uh, she was on Adam 22, and she said that she don't date black men. She was a black woman, and she said she only date white men, and I was interested in that. And she said the reason that she said that was because that black men have egos, and as a black woman herself, she is cursed with a masculine ego, and two masculine egos is chaos. And I said, wow, that's some shit. Whether I agree with her or not, I could say that's interesting, right? Objectively, that's interesting because too much ego will kill any relationship, right? Again, the divine order takes away your ego because you're doing things because God asked you to, right? This is the divine order, and you're making a sacrifice, right? So if your man asks you, hey boo, that outfit may be a little too tight. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that outfit. I don't want you going out to the club tonight. Since it's such, modern women say, "Oh nigga, you controlling." Oh no, I ain't doing this. Nah. See that's not traditional. You said you want a traditional man, right? A traditional man ain't with that. A traditional man wants a traditional woman. And in the Bible, again, this is traditional. Or the Quran, the women have to cover up 3/4 in public. Why? Because for one, the society is sex crazed and sex demons run rampant. We see this shit going on with Epstein and shit now. Right? We see that Uber saying now we're gonna make it where only women can ride with other women. Why? Because this is a dangerous society for the woman. The woman lives in a hyper patriarchal society where she's preyed on at work. She's preyed on when she go to the restaurant. She preyed on at the store, and she goes to the club dressed half naked. And her husband's job is to protect her. Her boyfriend, who wants to be her husband's job, is to protect her. And when he tries to protect her and does his duty, not in a jealous way, not in a envious way, or not in a controlling way, but just to have some respect for herself and for him in this patriarchal society and keep something that's just for him, he's met with pushback. He's met with pushback. And that's not right. So if you're going to be a traditional woman, that's something you have to ride all the way out, right? Now, this does not make him insecure, again, or controlling. But as a black traditional woman, you should have no problem with that, right? So when you say you want a traditional woman, a traditional man, you also have to be a traditional woman, right? The traditional black woman was feminine to her black man, and she was grateful for his gifts, even if they were not the designer brands. It was from his hard-earned money, and she showed him that she was grateful for his gifts, and that made him feel good. The traditional woman is not caught up in designer brands and materialism, idolizing bad bitches. The traditional woman is fine just being a good wife and a good mother, right? Again, this mind wars that we deal with, right? These mind wars that we deal with even within the carnal mind and the spiritual mind. If you caught up in if you in a relationship and you caught up in the carnal mind, then the person that you're dealing with, they can see that if they're spiritual, and then you out of whack, right? Two spiritual people have to deal with each other on a spiritual level, right? Now Gina finally makes more money than Martin, right? Let's watch this. This was an episode of Gina finally making more money than Martin.
How much more money money do you make, Gina? I mean, is it 10, 20, 30? I mean, how much more, Gina?
It doesn't matter.
That was
This episode was funny, but it highlighted that America was changing and going against traditional American women, right? Because now women can earn lots of money and sometimes even more than their men. This went against tradition and man's natural role, right, to be the leader and the provider of the household. Because in America, cash is king. See, it's frustrating. It frustrated traditional man Martin on the episode of Martin, right? And we all know Martin so much that the whole episode that Gina, because it was an episode, right? If you know Martin, you know that it was an episode where Gina got a pay raise and now she was making a little bit more money than Martin. And the whole episode, this is early '90s, Martin's ego is hurt, right? Because Gina, if you watch Martin, now I don't know that much about the Cosbys. I can't tell you every episode about the Cosbys. But when it comes to Martin, I can tell you every episode, right? And in this episode, Gina was making more money than Martin, and it was hurting his ego because Martin was an old school man. This was early '90s, right? Early '90s, he was a traditional man, and he believed that he's supposed to make more money than Gina, right? So it hurt his ego. But this episode was a lesson in this for the traditional woman, not the modern day woman, but the traditional woman, right? See, because it frustrated traditional man Martin so much that the whole episode with Gina, a traditional black woman, did not flex on him. That's the lesson of the episode. She didn't flex on him, right? She didn't beat him up about her making more money. She soothed his ego, right? And yet some modern day women say she shouldn't have to. But you gotta understand this is we're dealing with traditional. And traditional doesn't change. It wasn't always a time where it was where women made more money than men, right? But this is the traditional man. He believed that he was supposed to be the leader, and even though times were changing, Gina consoled him, right? She consoled his ego, and that was a beautiful episode. Now modern black women, not all, like to show their bodies off, like to throw their ass in the circle for social media, for likes, for mentions. But a traditional black man would ask you not to post that. Are you sure you want to do that? Like, are you sure you can deal with a man not telling you what to do? Some women don't like being told, feeling like if a man asks them a question, that's telling them what to do, right? But this is the traditional man. And a lot of times the traditional man is dating a modern day woman. And that's why they're not meeting, right? The modern day woman is dating a traditional man. They both have to meet and want the same thing. They both have to be traditional, right? Now, traditionally, America is a religious country. Most of these countries in this world are ran by religious doctrine, some more extreme than others. But America got away from that in the 60s and women got more opportunities. It was a great thing, a beautiful thing. However, when money is power in your society and now you give the women money, which is power, you might throw off the divine order according to religion, which told us not to conform, right? Told us not to conform. Women no longer feel they need men in modern society because they have money, and they don't need to respect men unless they do have money. This is why many countries who follow religious doctrine, sometimes too extreme, do not want America pushing their modern day lifestyles onto them, because gender roles can flip, marriages fail more, and kids suffer more, right? So even though we are more modern, we became more modern society, and we got away from religion. One thing that suffered was that we got away from family, that family element, right? When I was growing up, it was Seventh Heaven. We had Christian shows. Every TV show in the '90s, Uncle Phil got the last word. Right, Boy Meets World, Corey's dad got the last word. Full House, Danny Tanner got the last word. You see what I'm saying? This was the thing. Danny didn't have a wife. I think his wife passed in the show. You know what I'm saying? So, but you get the point. Bill Cosby got the last word. So that was the thing, right? Traditional black women stand again, and I always ask this question: if you take religion away from black Americans, what will you replace it with? Right? If you take the scripts away from us, what script are we gonna stick to? And we've been having that issue, right? You're in the film with no script. It's chaos. Now, traditional black women standards was not based on income. Claire Huxtable was a lawyer, very successful black woman, but she did not let her career stop her from being submissive and respectful to her traditional black man. She still cooked and cleaned and took care of the house and was kind and feminine to him and the children. This show depicted a traditional black family, right? Again, R.I.P. to Theo, right? R.I.P. to Theo, Malcolm Jamal Warner. He died tragically swimming in the ocean, right? Somewhere in the ocean. I believe he was out of the country. Sad, man. Very, very sad. Now, the traditional black man would not want his woman in nightclubs dressed half naked, having drinks with her single friends. He would want her at home with her kids on the weekend majority of the time. But modern black women, ask yourself, could you really handle that? While all of your friends are out on social media posting stories on Instagram, at the club, single girls trips, etc., etc., and you at the house on with your family on the weekend, spending nights, right? Spending nights doing nothing, movie night. Right? Do you want that? Are you ready for that? Right? Spending time with the traditional black man you prayed for. Right? Nas said if you wasn't a traditional black woman, you was a black girl lost in his song Black Girl Lost. Right? Still chasing clubs and ballers and VIP sections, dressing for attention, etc., etc. You know, the intro to Black Girl Lost, right? What you doing, girl? Nothing over here with this nigga. He over here talking the guy body back to Africa shit. What you on? We going to the club tonight. You know what I'm saying? Where all the ballers at? The traditional man. Nas said it in his lyrics, right? A quiet man who used to be at home planning. Baby mom thought I was too quiet. She couldn't stand it. She hit the streets. Later on, she hit in the sheets with a rapper who want me on this song thinking he's strong. I taught her how to watch the claws that might follow. I taught her street shit that I know. Her weakness was shine, though. But that's her. See what I'm saying? Now, the traditional black man worked hard, but did not make a lot of money. So he could not buy you that Birkin bag or that Louis V purse, right? That Louis Vuitton purse or that Benz with the red bow. I take you on vacations frequently, but he did his best to provide. Would the modern black woman be understanding to that, right? Would the modern black woman be understanding to that? That's the real question, right? Traditional black women didn't fight like men in the streets or at clubs. So here it is. You want a traditional man, but it's nothing really traditional about you. The modern black man is not traditional either, for the most part. But this bill we are dealing with is dealing with the sisters. Are the sisters traditional, right? We got the sisters is baddies. The sisters is fighting. There ain't nothing traditional about these women. A lot of them. You know, a lot of the red pill niggas, they downfall is that they chasing prostitutes. They chasing prostitutes and hoes, and then they getting upset. But the whole thing is why y'all niggas, if you really want a woman that's conservative, you say you conservative and you want a woman to be conservative, why you ain't dealing with a conservative woman? Why you ain't dealing with a religious woman? Because see, you just, the reality is that a lot of them red pill men on spirit niggas, they want hoes. They want the hoes too. They couldn't get the hoes. They want the hoes though. If they didn't, if they really was all about just getting a conservative woman that was down to earth and all that, they'd be up in the church or the mosque. But they ain't. Right? You look at these fresh and fit niggas, who they be with? Prostitutes. Right? Prostitutes and Instagram baddies. Now, traditional black women did not pause on that real quick. Who was Kevin Samuels with? I know Kevin Samuels wasn't red pill. He was with a prostitute when he passed. Right? So traditional black women did not pay bills because they didn't work real jobs, so they couldn't. And the economy was much better. So traditional black men had no choice but to pay all the bills. Right? But in today's times, many modern black women still don't think that they should pay bills if they are in a relationship with a man. Right? But if they are single, they are willing to pay all the damn bills by themselves. Which sense do that make? None. But which almost gives off the notion that modern black women's definition of a good black man is nothing but a trick. As I always said, you describe a sister to, hey, tell me what's a good man. Well, you know, it's a good man. A nigga who buy me something, yeah, he do a trick. Just say it. That's what you want. You want a trick. All right, we supposed to. I'm over here making 50K or 60K, and you making 60K, and I'm supposed to pay all the bills while you out shopping. I ain't no goddamn trick, right? So I feel the brothers on that. Now, the sisters on that who try to do that is trying to use the man's ego against him to say, well, you ain't real if you ain't did that. This is what real men used to do. Baby, this ain't the 50s. This ain't the 60s. My mama worked, your mama worked, my daddy worked, your daddy worked. Fuck is you talking about back in the day? How far you going back? How far you going back? You know what I'm saying? Because my mama worked and your mama worked, right? So, we almost done, y'all. Studies show that the modern black American woman is the least married woman in America and the fastest woman to file for divorce in America. This is a sad truth because marriages create wealth and lead to home ownership, right? Which also creates wealth. Two-parent households which bring more wealth and help raise more successful adults. And as you know, we have a huge wealth gap in this country, right? Have a huge wealth gap in this country. Now, the traditional black woman is a religious black woman, right? And to the woman, the traditional black man is a religious black man. But the young black American community since the late 80s got away from religion and converted to the new religion, right? What's the new religion? Money, hoes, clothes, money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes, money, cash, hoes. Dope boys, strippers, drug dealers, club promoters, you know what I'm saying, rappers. This is the new religion for the black American, right? And we have to find religion again. Because I always ask the question, if you put down religion, what do you replace it with? Right? And you can't replace it with all carnal minded shit and then think you're going to have a spiritual relationship. The carnal and the spiritual can't occupy the same space, right? So it's no discipline. It's no discipline. Need that, right? Did I touch everything that I needed to touch? Did I touch everything that I touched? All right. Last slide, right? Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'm trying to get it back right. Okay. To the modern sisters looking for a traditional black man, just make sure that you are a traditional black woman, right? You gotta be a traditional black man. You want to be a traditional black man? Or you want to find a traditional black man? You got to be a traditional black woman. You want to find a traditional black woman? You got to be a traditional black man, right? Light attract light. And to the black man looking for a traditional black woman, just make sure you are also a traditional as the black woman you are looking for, or it will not work. Again, light attracts light, right? So to all the people who be doing this content every day about, oh, a real man should pay this, God already gave us the divine order, right? And if you really want that, follow the divine order. Get into a relationship where you don't have to argue about gender roles. The roles is the divine order that was already put here for us. I have a role, you have a role, and that's what we gonna do, right? On that note, family, that covers the topic of the traditional man and the traditional woman in the modern society. Peace, family. We are out.